Hey everyone, we are live and welcome to the Overland Podcast. I'm Joey. Tony is here from Northwest Arkansas.
Hey y'all.
We have some amazing people that will be joining us live on here with us. I hope you are able to come on here and visit with them because we've been talking backstage and they have a lot to share. And they're in the bed, so that'll be interesting. In their van, that's probably the best place to sit in there.
Their bed / dining table / desk
multi-purpose area.
Pretty close.
Would it be is that the living room? Would y'all say that's the living room? I see a fireplace in the back.
Yeah.
So,
a wood burning fireplace.
Yeah,
those are so cool.
That's so nice. I love that.
That's got a story too.
Oh, I'm sure it does, and we'll hear about that shortly because I will ask about that. What an amazing week this is already, the week before one of the biggest holidays of the year. Probably, I would say the biggest holiday of the year, if not Black Friday, maybe the biggest holiday of the year. I don't know. But Christmas is just around the corner. I hope you have all of your wish list sent to Santa. Tony, what are you asking for?
You're
not going to get it.
A bed rack. Probably not going to get it, but I need a bed rack.
You might as well just buy it yourself.
I need a bed rack.
Yeah. Well, you've got a bed rack.
No, I need a different bed rack.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, my wife, that would be the reaction that my wife would have if I said that. I need a bed rack. You've got a bed rack. What's wrong with a bed rack?
Alex made a great point a while ago, and we'll get into it, but it's like it no longer serves a purpose.
True. And I totally understand that. Some people may not, but I totally understand. I hope you get everything that you could ever want in this Christmas holiday. We have so much to be thankful for. So many good things have happened in life this year. Our families, our friends. This is the last scheduled podcast that we have for the year. So I'm excited. Season 7 has been an amazing year. This past weekend was a great one for me. We actually had our very first winter men's backpacking trip. I hope next year Tony's coming with us.
I hope. That's the plan.
We went and did a section of the Ouachita Trail, 27 miles, and 15 of those miles was in the absolute most torrential downpour that I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing. So everything I own is still wet 3 days later. And
it still was amazing.
Still was amazing.
That's
I loved
the appropriate word.
Absolutely loved it.
Okay.
Was soaked to the bone. My shoes are still wet. I know that for sure. But the Ouachita Trail is one of the nation's national scenic trails. So me and 3 other men decided to go there. We slept in the what do you call them?
Hammocks?
No.
You didn't sleep in a tent? A hammock?
No.
Sleeping bag?
No. No.
A
they
cabin?
have actually,
I don't know.
Yeah, little cabins on the trail. So we slept in those, and I was really glad because about 11 o'clock Friday night, I heard thunder. The thunder rolled, and it was awful.
Wait, seriously? You slept in cabins?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're actually shelters. It's not. It's like a log cabin without a front on it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they're nice. You should see them. I've got pictures. I'll send them.
Okay.
But the backpacking world is a lot like the overlanding world. You build your kit, but you have to carry everything with you on your back. And, but unlike the overlanding world, you can't just run down the street to the store and get whatever you forgot because you're, what's the song say? A million miles from nowhere.
Yeah. You're afoot.
Afoot. We are foot. Yeah. Afoot. And my foot was hurting.
Most of the time. Was hurting. All right.
My foot was hurting. It was great.
Well, that's why I'm trying to lose weight because I don't want my feet to be hurting anymore.
Well, they will. They will. I can guarantee you that. But anyway, enough about us. We have some amazing special guests with us this evening on one of the last podcasts of the year. And I'm very glad to introduce them to you. So, Alex and Megan, thank you for being on here with us. We really appreciate you taking time to come on here with us.
Well, thanks for having us.
Also known as Slow Roamers. Where did that name come from?
I've had the word roam in probably 3 different accounts. And when Meg came on board,
she's slow. Is that what you're saying? She made everything slow.
Hey.
No, we needed something that kind of encompassed both of us, because prior to Slow Roamers, it was Romelander, and that was my business name, and I wanted a play on words that was like Highlander, but Rome, so it was Romelander, and that was like my
That was his bachelor branding. We had to
yeah
dating when I came on the scene.
That's
yeah, we talked a lot about traveling slowly and really taking our time.
I like that.
While we were overlanding, and then it just kind of turned into Slow Roamers eventually.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love that, because in the world we live in, everybody's in a hurry, and it just seems like people just don't slow down and live in the moment so many times, and I think that name is what drew me to you in the beginning. Then I started looking around. I was like, oh, this is cool. So living that van life, I love it. Encourage everybody to take a look at your website. I know you say that's mainly where you have all your merch at, but it also gives a little history about yourself, which we're going to learn about here in just a minute. But slowroamers.com is a good place to start if you've never heard of them or you want to check them out. And we'll give some more information on where you can follow them at the end of the show. But if you would, give us a little history about yourselves, where you're from, and maybe where this love of adventure travel came from.
Yeah. Sure. You go first.
Sounds good. I'm from North Vancouver, Canada. And I was born and raised there, and kind of starting in high school, got this itch to travel the world. We were just actually listening to a podcast interviewing Rick Steves. I don't know if you guys know him.
I've heard of Rick Steves.
He had a travel show on PBS. And I was a religious watcher of Rick Steves' Europe as a teen. And so, I got this crazy idea that I was going to travel the world as soon as I graduated high school. And that's kind of what I did. I was backpacking overseas largely in my early 20s, and then sort of took a break, but was always going on camping trips and sleeping in tents. And at a certain point, after one too many times of getting caught in the rain, I was like, I need to upgrade this situation. And so I bought a little Dodge Caravan minivan and stuck a bed in the back and went on my first overland trip. And I just never looked back after that. I was like, this is the best thing ever. This is the best way to travel, the best way to see the world. So,
hey, there's my wife.
Yeah.
So Meg was a badass solo female van lifer before it was cool.
That's awesome. That sounds just like my wife. I met my wife, and she got, as soon as we met, she got to tell me about herself, about how she had worked at this summer camp and had taken these girls on all these backpacking trips, and that was kind of her job, to take these girls. And I said, that sounds awful. That just sounds totally awful to take teenage girls on a backpacking trip. But that's what she did, and she loved it. And, she mentored the girls, and she spent more time in the woods than I had by the time I was that age. And I was like, man, you're amazing.
Yeah.
So that's what a great story. And to get a Dodge Caravan, how cool.
Her name was Shirley.
You even named it. Okay, that's Shirley. Shirley the man. That's so cool.
Yeah, Meg's definitely probably better traveled than I am. You've seen way more of Southeast Asia, Europe, Australia. She's been places. I've only been to Europe a couple times. Scotland. Nothing in Asia or south of the equator. So
I've barely been out of Arkansas.
Big beautiful world out there, Tony.
Yes,
it's so big. My wife and I have a competition. She's been to more countries. I've been to more continents. So
cool.
She's trying to catch up, and I'm trying to catch up. And since we go everywhere together now, I don't know how we're going to do that. It's going to be interesting.
Have more time trips.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. For me, like I've always kind of been into from an early age, probably about 18, I was into like off-roading trucks. I actually started off with an 87 Toyota 4Runner, and I had this grand idea that I was going to like kit it out and circumnavigate Canada, but I was only like 18. I had no idea how I was going to fund it. Unfortunately, I drove that truck into a concrete barrier, being stupid and young.
Oh no.
But that evolution continued, and I kind of went to rock crawling for a little while, and then probably about 2013, 2014, overlanding started to come on the scene, and I was like, well, this like describes, I want to go for long distances, see places that are far away, but do it all vehicle borne and like kind of self-sustained. And it was like, oh, overlanding, that describes what I'm doing. So I kind of jumped on that bandwagon pretty fast. And my first trip was off to Alaska, and went from Edmonton, Alberta, all the way up to Alaska and back, which was about 11,000 kilometers in 2.5 weeks. I drove every single day for like 5 to 6 hours.
Wow.
It was rough. That was kind of like my first big trip. And then after that, I continued to do small stuff until 2016, when that was the first time I went south for the winter, because I was working on a farm and I didn't have any work really during the winters. And so I just started like traveling south for like 4 months. And that's when I really discovered like long-term travel, and was pretty much hooked, and continued to build rigs to better suit what I wanted to do. And
he's still building rigs.
Still building
rigs.
Still building. It's a never-ending process.
There's a never-ending process. We talk about that all the time. In fact, I've actually mistakenly made the statement on the show live that I have my rig exactly how I want it, and they're like,
famous last words.
You're lying through your teeth. You're lying through your teeth. So anyway, look at what Benji said right off the bat. I swear.
I knew it wouldn't take long.
This is a joke. We're going to get to that later. I'm not getting to that right now. I swear. That's a running joke.
It's a serious thing.
I swear. It's like, hey, food. Come on here. You're listening. We've got these amazing people in here. We'll ask some questions, and that's always the number one question. I swear. So this is very exciting for me, because this is one of the goals that my wife and I have. I'm very close to retirement, and one of the goals that we have is actually to buy a van and do some things. So I know that my wife, hopefully she'll get back from buying Christmas presents, because I know she'll have a lot of questions, to get to a point where we can having a home base, but having the freedom to go and do what we want. So do you have a home base that you call home, or are you in your van full time?
We're in our van full time. Yeah. What we consider our home base is where our parents are. Okay. So we're always welcome to go home and stay with our parents, but we don't have a home. This is our home.
I love it. I love it. And you want to
both sets of parents are in Canada, I presume. Yep. Okay.
You always want to keep that relationship really good, so you always have a place to go back to.
Exactly.
Place
more rigs at.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's so many places to go, so many things to do. I'm not sure it would be even possible to see everything or go everywhere that you want to go, but traveling like you do makes it a lot easier to be able to do that. So what made you settle on where you are now, doing this route that you're doing? What made you think, okay, that's what we want to do?
Well, the Pan American Highway, that's what we are currently doing, is basically in our backyard. Like, we don't have to go overseas to go and do it. So it kind of makes sense that if you want to do a really big overland route, that's going to take you multiple years to do the Pan American Highway, because it's right here. People come from all over the world to drive this highway or stretch of road. And I learned about the Pan Am back in Richard and Ashley Giordano. I knew Richard from like the early days when he was building Little Red. Him and I had similar trucks and got chatting on Expedition Portal and stuff like that. And that's when I learned about the Pan American Highway. And then I watched him do it. I read his blogs, and I was like, oh, this is a thing. And I didn't really consider it or seriously consider it until I was on my first trip to Baja, and I had crossed into Baja with some Swiss friends that I'd met up in Alaska, my second trip up to Alaska, and they were doing the Pan Am. And I distinctly remember when it came time to turn around for me to go back home, and they continued down the Baja Peninsula, across to Mazatlan, and then continued to Central America. And that was the first time that I looked south of wherever I was and was like, what's there? I don't know what's there. I have basically no knowledge of what's beyond, beyond Cabo San Lucas. And that's where the fascination started. And then, there's obviously a lot of moving cogs in doing a trip like this. And the big one is financial. And I had no idea how I was going to do that financially. And there's a bunch of other stuff in the way of that were just extra complications. So it wasn't until, many, many years down the road when Meg and I met, and we started a thing that makes it possible to do a 1.5 year long journey. And that's how we are here now.
A YouTube channel.
Yeah, a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But also like the advent of Starlink. Makes so much possible, and we have Starlink on the van, so Meg can work online. I can edit and post up YouTube videos, no problem. And suddenly we're like, oh, we make just enough to pay for food, fuel, and incidentals. We can do it.
Yeah. You have great photography skills. Have you had any training in that?
Not like classical training or like schooling or anything like that. I've just always had a fascination or desire to take photos and tell stories and that kind of thing. And I've just kind of learned as I've gone along. It's mostly been just like learn by doing. Just pick up a camera, start taking photos, and that looks like crap. Well, what if I do this?
Self-taught. I love the self-taught.
I've got your Instagram account up here on my other monitor, and it's just stunning. I just love all the color. Just going through some of your looks like Alaska trip pictures.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't that long that y'all were way up in
the Dempster Highway.
Yeah, way up there. You posted a lot of really good pictures up there, and I wanted to talk about that. A lot of us have bucket lists, places that we want to go, and you've been to some places that I've never heard of, and so I love how Instagram lets you tag where you're at, so it kind of gives a little area. It doesn't tell your coordinates or exactly where you are or anything like that, but it does give an idea about where you are. So tell us about some of the most memorable places that you've been that you love.
Memorable places.
Tuktoyaktuk.
Yeah.
Which is the terminus of
the Dempster Highway
of this trip, the Pan American Highway for us.
Yeah. So
it's the most northern point that you can drive to in Canada. So that was pretty cool. And doing the Dempster Highway was it was just amazing. The fall colors. It snowed on us in August, and it was just such an experience.
Yeah.
That'd be a weird feeling. Snow in August.
Yeah, right.
It's a little different. Yeah. I mean, definitely for guys like you that are in Arkansas, it probably stays pretty hot.
It's Satan's armpit.
Yeah, in June, July, and August, we're looking for somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
You don't want to be here.
For sure.
Yeah. So we usually either go higher elevations or we go north. And so that's one of the reasons why we need ideas about where to go, because we're always looking for somewhere to go during those months, because you don't want to be here.
Yeah.
You don't even want to go outside. much less camp. And there's no air conditioner that can keep up that that you just want to use. So yeah,
I mean a zero breeze works pretty good, but that goes through batteries like nobody's business.
Yeah, it does. And plus, you've got to come out sometime. You can't stay in your tent the whole time.
Yeah.
So goodness gracious, we just got to have a place to go. Well, I love that. I love that y'all been to some amazing places. Travel is one of my passions. I love it. We constantly are trying to go somewhere, go someplace new. It helps us get away from life, and we have a beautiful world that's out there just waiting to be explored, and I love it. But you're experiencing some of the things that Tony and I have been dealing with the past few months. With every up, there's going to be some downs, and you recently about some things all being torn apart. And so tell us about the behind the scenes, the things that you have to deal with, about how it's not all glorious and glamorous life on the road.
Well, obviously our home is a van, so it's a house that is going to go through the roughest abuse that any house will ever go through. So it requires a crazy amount of maintenance all the time. And recently we had a bunch of kind of slowly encroaching issues with the van that I had to address. And so that's what our last video was about, was just like the 2 weeks of maintenance that we did before dropping into Mexico. And I had to pull out our refrigerator, our center console, pull the doghouse, pull the passenger seat, pull out all of the intake stuff on the van just to get under the intake manifold to pull it off so I could change out knock sensors, which is a common issue in the Chevy 350s, or it's a 4.8 liter LS. And like I can't afford to pay someone to do that, so I had to do it myself. And it was a long learning experience. So that's just kind of like a little bit of insight into, like, just maintenance alone can be a huge kind of like downer on your travels. It stopped us for 2 weeks. And luckily we have great friends to house us in Phoenix while we did that maintenance. So that's like one aspect of it. And then there's the relationship aspect of it. Meg and I living in a
tiny space.
Yeah, like we're at like
50 square feet or something like
50
that.
50 or 45 square feet.
Yeah, that gives a whole new meaning to tiny house. For sure.
Over the summer, everybody that stepped in the van said, "Wow, this looks much bigger on video."
Yeah. Looks much smaller in person.
Yeah, exactly.
So is the Mechanican, is that self-taught as well? Did you just have to learn as you go with that?
Yeah, that's another like learn by doing kind of thing. I've done a lot of knuckle bashing in my life, and so whenever I had a truck or vehicle that needed maintenance, I shiver at the idea of having to hand over my vehicle to someone else to work on it. So only for the big jobs would I hand it over to like a trusted mechanic, and otherwise everything else I do myself, just to save money and to learn.
The only trusted mechanic I have is Tony, and it's funny because Tony is a Jeep guy and I'm a Toyota guy. And when I've needed stuff done, and I'd say, "Have you ever done this before?" And he's like, "No, but I'll watch a YouTube video and figure it out." And sure enough, we've had parts scattered from one side of his driveway to the other, and I'm like, "There's no possible way I would have ever attempted this." But sure enough, we get it all back together.
When we did the motor and transmission swap on my daughter's car.
No, that would have stressed me out.
I've never done anything like that before.
Yeah, and you watch a YouTube video and pull a motor out of a car.
I tell you, if it wasn't for, so I've got a good friend, Michael, who is there for me night and day. Anytime I need anything, have any questions, he's a career ASCE certified mechanic. And I mean, he's since moved on in his career, but he still works on Jeeps and stuff. And he's always been a great source of hey, you need to try this or look at this. And so I go and I tried this and I go look at that. And then I call him back and
that didn't work.
That didn't work.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I'll be right there. So
I have a couple guys like that back at home that I can call on whenever I have an issue. I'll shout out Lance and Wes if you guys are watching. Those guys I can, usually ask any questions about mechanical stuff, and they'll get me an answer within a few minutes to an hour or something like that. And it's always like really rock solid information, and yeah, so it's always great having those friends that you can just quick dial, hey, give me some advice on this.
Yeah.
So have you seen down where you are, if something major happened and you needed a mechanic, how hard would it be to find one?
There's mechanics everywhere.
Yeah.
Down here. They're super resourceful.
That's good.
Yeah, we've had some work done in Baja. We had our front end replaced. And overall it was a good experience, other than they didn't grease anything.
Yeah.
So that was unfortunate. But other than that, it was amazing, and it was like a 12-hour shop day for $200 US.
Oh wow.
But yeah, all of our other intrepid traveler overlander friends have had to get work done in Mexico and beyond, and it's always a pretty good experience. And people down here are so willing to help.
Yeah, and also like I think like Mexican mechanics have a reputation for being very, very resourceful people, and I think it's just like on the daily they have to make something out of nothing, and so they really know how to finagle a vehicle, I guess, or a repair. And like the one experience that we had, I mean, it was great on the price, obviously, because we paid like next to nothing for so much work. I think it was just like a cultural thing. Like I just didn't know that they're going to hand back your vehicle, but it's your responsibility to pay for the grease and to grease your ball joints. And unfortunately, we were down like the Baja 1000, like a big section of the Baja 1000, and I got into the vehicle just to check stuff over, and I'm like, these ball joints haven't been greased, and heated up and wore. And so it was just like a learning experience for me. I'm not going to fault anyone for it, because like I just didn't know.
Yeah,
and it's just a cultural thing. But yeah, if we need to get something repaired, I don't have any issue bringing it into a mechanic down here. There's lots of them around.
That's good. That's good to know, especially for anyone that's planning on traveling down there. Well, I love your rig. You call her Betty. Any reason for that name?
It's the evolution from Shirley to Betty. I love old lady names. Naming bands after old ladies.
Naming bands after old ladies.
That was my grandma. My grandma was Betty Lou.
There you go.
My goodness. My goodness, I love that. Well, I love how you have transitioned. You had a 1988 Toyota single cab truck. I absolutely love that truck. We talked backstage about how it was like the penultimate of the bachelor overlanding rig. But when y'all got together, you transformed this 2006 Chevy Express from a white delivery van to this. I don't know how you would describe it. Would you describe it a luxury travel home or
off-road house?
Okay. So tell us what you did, how you transformed that, and made it into something you could live out of.
Well,
so I bought the van in 2019 before I had met Alex, and I was just upgrading from my Dodge Caravan to something bigger, a bigger Palace on wheels. And I built that out in 2020 with the help of a friend. And it was just a really basic, it was super cute, perfect for me. But it was really basic in terms of what we have now. And then I met Alex, and he had the Toyota, and we tested it out. It was way too small. And we both sort of looked at the van and said, we can try and make this work.
Yeah. And so I'm like a pretty diehard Toyota guy, have been all my life. I've always kind of liked Chevys. I like the way they look, like their older trucks and stuff. And when we decided, like, okay, I don't think the Toyota pickup is going to work because it's too small. We started looking at the Chevy. I knew nothing about a Chevy Express van, aside from the fact that it had more interior space for us to live in. And I looked at it, I'm like, well, it's got to look cooler at least. So
yeah.
I started by putting like a coil spacer in it just for like 1.5-inch lift. We put some 265/75 KO2s on it. I built some steel bumpers and a steel roof rack for it. I kind of tore out a lot of Meg's initial build and then made it just like a little bit more functional, put a slightly bigger electrical system in it. And that was Betty 2.0. We traveled in that van for 6 months and she went everywhere that we wanted her to go. And I was just like, at the end of that 6 months, it was like, this van is awesome. Like,
yeah,
you know, two-wheel drive van.
Over that 6 months, I got to learn a little bit about the Express platform, and Meg didn't know at the time, but she had bought the 1-ton version of the 3/4-ton van. And so it's got like big suspension. It was equipped factory with a Dana 60 in the rear, and then a 4.8 liter with a 4L80 transmission. And you know, like it shares lower control arms with the Chevy Silverado, and everything's built pretty tough. It's one of the last, you know, body on frame vans that are coming off the assembly line stuff. And I was like, okay, this van is actually like a pretty good platform, and we've had zero issues with the engine. And the more I've been learning about the engine and the LS platform, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is like the 3.4 liter or the 22 RD of Toyota, like for Chevy. Like the 350s are really good engines. And and then we decided, okay, we're going to do the Pan Am. And I'm like, well, we need more space and we need more clearance. I want bigger tires. The biggest thing that's going to stop us is mud. So we've got to run mud terrains. And I want a winch in the front, and blah, 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 blah. You just add to the list. And then we're like, okay, we're going to rebuild Betty for 3.0. And so 2 summers ago, we brought the van back to my parents'
First we
place.
raised the roof.
Yeah, cut off the roof, put my top on. And then, for 4 months, it was a process of me ripping out the interior and then building an entirely new interior that's far more functional, can store more, and then new bumpers, bigger lift, bigger tires, so on and so forth. And now we are in Betty 3.0.
With a fireplace.
With a fireplace.
With a wood fireplace, yeah. Actually, this was Betty 2.0 as well.
Yeah.
Wood fireplace.
Yeah.
You can't get a wood fireplace in a $150,000 Sprinter van. I mean, that's living. That's living there.
You can do whatever you want when you build it yourself.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Absolutely. Just don't tell the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no joke. You don't put that down when you say, "Oh, what's in your car?"
Yeah.
No.
Earlier I mentioned the Swiss couple that I went to Baja with. So that guy, he went back to Switzerland. He's a bit of a pyromaniac, and they have a wood fireplace in their van. Their Sprinter van was a 4-wheel drive one. And he went back and he started his own tiny wood stove company. And when we were building Betty 2.0, I contacted him. I was like, Andres, I need a wood stove for our van because we don't have a heating system. And so he sent us all of this for free. This was the very, very first stove of this size that he had ever, built, and was off the assembly line. So this is like the prototype.
Wow.
And we've been rocking it for the last 2 years. It's been awesome.
Heats that space up pretty good, I bet.
Yeah. Now, like we've got a lot more insulation in the van, so we hold heat better. And I mean, it's great. You want to sit for 2 or 3 days in the cold, we have enough wood under here for that 2-3 days to keep us warm.
How important is in all your travels? How important would you say is having that inside space to be able to go to and get out of the weather?
So important.
Yeah, it's invaluable.
Yeah,
honestly. This is our lives. This is not just us on like a little trip where we can go home. And so for this space to feel like it's home,
super important, and to have a comfortable place to work and cook and all the rest of it. Kudos to those folks out there that can do it in a rooftop tent. And it's not us. We need more creature comforts, I guess, to thrive on the road. And this van has really suited us so far.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you talked about Andreas, was it? You talk about in several of your posts about how the best part of traveling isn't the destination, but the people you meet along the way. So tell us about some of the people that you've met that have made an impact on you. You've already spoken of one. Any others? And I've noticed that you have posted pictures with other people. So that's a really cool story.
Well, we call those people our road family. Most of them exist in North America. Actually, all of them exist
are from North America.
In the States, actually. People that have really made an impact.
Tim and Denise.
Yeah, Tim and Denise from Cantwell, Alaska, for sure. They are two kindred spirits. We met them down in Baja, and we're kind of like following in their footsteps. They were going down to Baja in, I think, the 50s in their Volkswagen.
No, I think the 70s.
The 70s?
Yeah, okay. They're not that old.
The 70s, yeah. Okay, sorry. They were going to Baja in the 70s in their Volkswagen van and just, bouncing around and around and exploring Baja before it was cool. And they've also traveled all over the world. They purchased a property up in Cantwell long ago and would work in Denali National Park for summers, and they would just go and travel, and they slowly built their property. And it's kind of like what we would like to do. And everything that they have done has been like, yeah, we want to do our lives that way. And so they have definitely been very like instrumental in inspiring us to do what we're doing now and to like travel while we are able, and then, make a life that, we're happy with and we're proud of. So, yeah.
That's cool. What keeps you going each day? What's your motivation?
Do you want to answer that one first?
I think that seeing the world and just being immersed in nature the way we are, it's just like such a pleasure and a gift to wake up every day and get to have this revolving backyard and be in these just epic inspiring places. So I couldn't dream of a better life.
Yeah. The thrill of seeing something new
all the time.
Yeah.
Wow. I think for me, I've always really just wanted, or I guess more so, I got into my 30s and realized that the life I was living was not exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I was kind of just like following a prescribed route or path, and I realized that I really want to do something with my life that when I look back on it, I can be like, yeah, I did that.
I did that. Yeah.
I did the thing, and it was hard, or it took a lot of effort. It wasn't always fun, but I did it. And so the last few years, I think, with Meg and with the advent, of course, of being able to work online and fund all of this through a YouTube channel, has really opened up a ton of possibilities. And it's really cool being able to like look at that and be like, oh, this is the life I'm living. Okay. That's really spectacular. And just embracing it while we're here as well, right? Like looking at it and being like, this is really incredible. We need to work for this and hang on to it. And so that's what keeps us going.
For someone who might want to do this, like you follow in somebody else's footsteps, for somebody that might want to follow in yours and do this full time one day, what advice would you give them? What would you say to them?
I would say start small. We started by doing a number of shakedown trips to figure out, to really dial in the rig and dial in our routines on the road, and just like make sure with 100% certainty that we can sustain this for a long time without killing each other, without anything.
You laugh, but that's a real that's a real thing. When you're in a small space, you have to get along. So I totally get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty well prepared for this. I know that there are people out there that kind of just throw themselves into it. And we've had some questions like why like last year, why aren't you just starting the Pan Am now? And we still felt like we had some things to straighten out. So I think that's what I would say. Just start small and do bite-sized trips here and there, and just make sure that this is really what you want before actually taking the plunge and like selling your house or whatever it takes to get on long term.
Yeah.
And kind of to add to that, or maybe to go like a little bit more minuscule with it, I think there's a very common thing that a lot of people do when they're looking at like, the overland lifestyle, the van life lifestyle, and they get this idea that there's this perfect rig out there for them that's going to enable them to do everything. Well, I'm here to tell you that the perfect rig doesn't exist, and you'll never find it. You're always going to sacrifice something. So start with what you have. Go out and do the small thing, like, get used to camping and sleeping in your back seat, or if you have a van, just like throw a blow up mattress in the back and bring a cooler with you and go out and see if you like doing that. If it gets you the thing that you're looking for, maybe by making small improvements to your vehicle later on, you're going to be able to get more of what you're looking for. But going and spending all this money and chasing down this idea of a perfect rig and not going out and doing the thing because you're just trying to get the vehicle to do it is not the way to go about it. Just baby steps, small stuff. Like, don't dump a whole bunch of money and all this effort into building your perfect rig. Just like go out, man, and experience what you want to experience, and then like figure out what you want. I used to build van interiors, and always had clients come up to me and say, I want this, this, and this, and I'm gonna, I'm buying this van. And I'm like, okay, cool. Slow it down for a second. Like, just go get yourself some like plastic organizers, a blow-up mattress, and a 12-volt cooler, and live out of the thing for a month first, and then come to me and spend your money. Like, so. Yeah, I'm probably gone a little bit long on that one, but
we see it all the time. We see it all the time. People have it backwards. They think they have to have all the stuff first before they go. And my question is, how do you know what stuff to get before you go?
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Everybody lives different. Everybody has different habits, different things that they like, different things to make them comfortable. So how would you even know what to get? And the worst thing you could possibly do is post on a Facebook group and say, hey, I need this. What do I need? And everybody's going to advise you to get what they have, which is going to be 1,000 different things, and your question's never going to get answered. So how would you know without going? So totally agree. If you had to go back and start all over, what would you change? Is there anything that you would change about how you started out?
How far back are we going?
Let's go 3.0. Let's go 3.0 on this trip.
Yeah.
Weight.
Yeah, weight.
I preached like light vehicles, and somehow 9,000.
And you're at almost 10,000 pounds. That's pretty light.
and I, I'm realizing after 2 years of full-time vehicle travel that weight is the silent and slow killer. and you can put it on a lot faster than you can take it off. And when I was building this interior, like
all this beautiful wood you see,
yeah, it's all really thick and it's all really heavy, and the little 4.8 liter V8 pulling around 9,000 pounds is struggling, especially out here in Mexico where the grades are crazy, the corners are as tight as heck, and you're up and down all day long, and the van is just like, kill me now, please. So yeah, if I had to go back and do it again, I would build everything exceptionally light as possible. No more like 2-inch maple countertops and 5/8 Baltic birch ply and as much hardwood accents as I can do.
Well,
that's almost pretty. As much as Joey's FJ weighs.
Oh yes, I've got an FJ Cruiser, and it's got everything and the kitchen sink. It doesn't have a fireplace, but I'll be getting one now. But the very first question that I get from everybody is, "How much that thing weigh?" And I was like, "I haven't weighed it. I don't want to know.
Yeah,
I don't want to know." But my little 4.0 V6 struggles just to get out of the driveway. So yeah, I totally get it.
My 3-ton Jack struggles.
Yeah.
FJ.
Yeah, fortunately, I hadn't had to use that much. So I totally get the weight thing, man. Well, you tell great stories. You mentioned earlier that you love being a storyteller, and I love on your social media and all of your platforms how you tell a story. You don't just keep it simple and do one sentences like, "Hey, we saw a mountain." You tell the story about where you are, what you're doing. You give insight into who you are, and I absolutely love that. So I just wanted to give you kudos there on being a good storyteller, because not a lot of people can do that well. You put out really good videos. Is your YouTube channel, is that the thing that you concentrate on the most? Is that where you want people to go to see where you are, what you're doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I guess like I've mentioned a number of times that it's like our one of two means of income while we travel. And so we're starting to lean heavier and heavier on the YouTube channel and the income that comes from that. So certainly I want people to go there and to watch the videos because that's how we get paid. But I definitely, because it's long form, and I like the long form platform. That's just really where I focus my attention. It used to be a lot of Instagram, but now that Instagram is pushing short form content, and that's the only way that you can really get anywhere on that platform, I've just kind of been like, whatever. Like I'll post photos because that's what I signed up for on Instagram, but on YouTube, they're staying true to how they started, which is long form, and I can tell a longer story. I can show more of where we are, and I think that we can have like kind of a better personal connection with our audience through video and the stories that we tell together. So,
do you enjoy that part of it? A lot of people feel like that, posting the video, doing all the work, but you do consider that part of your career. But a lot of people do it for fun, but it's not their favorite part. But do you enjoy doing the videos, the storytelling? Is that something you enjoy?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. On one side, I absolutely love it. Like, it's my favorite thing to wake up and edit video and to put everything together, and it's like a real like engaging thing for my mind to put all the aspects of a video into one thing. But on the other side, it's like it's a 40 to 50 hour job.
Yeah.
It's
to make it good. Yeah. To make it good.
It's enabling us to do what we're doing now, but at the same time, it's like we're here in Mexico right now, and today I sat in the chair right over there and edited for probably 10 hours. Because I want to get ahead of my videos so that I can slow down a little bit, and sometimes just like long editing days is what it takes, and that means that like I'm not going for that walk with Meg, or maybe we have to push that hike that we want to do till later, or I'm missing a sunset or something like that. So yeah, it's double-edged sword for sure.
I can see that. Yeah. I can see that, because if you do consider that part of your income or your main source of income, you do feel the pressure, like you got to put a video out a week, or got to put two videos out a week. And you know, I know YouTube expects that, and you kind of have to count on that, but that also does take you away from, you know, the enjoyment of actually being where you are. And so that true double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, Joey's a
so,
I was just going to say that.
Comment on that.
Go ahead.
I wanted to comment for just a second. Like, that's another aspect that's a kind of a double-edged sword, because like on one hand, like I'll be there in the computer editing like crazy, but then one thing that we've learned that's really good to like slow down time is like practicing presence. And Meg can practice presence by like going and being quiet. I can practice presence through being behind a lens and like focusing on minute aspects of a landscape, for instance. So again, it's like totally two-sided.
Yeah, find your thing. What were you going to say, Tony?
Oh, I was just going to say that you and I have talked about that aspect a lot, and I've learned that you're a great storyteller, but oftentimes when we go out, like on these short trips, it's difficult to get enough video to put together, you know, enough
for a long
content
form.
for a long form, you know, without sort of taken away from the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
100%.
it's difficult. It takes a lot of work. So
yeah. Plus, if you're a weekender, which like 99% of the people that overland are, you've only got a very short amount of time, and pretty much you're spending the whole time shooting video.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to put a video out. So, you know, there was a time where I wanted to do it, and then it just got to the point where I was like, maybe one of these days, but right now I just want to enjoy this time. So you kind of have to decide.
We usually shoot over like 4 to 5 days for a video, and that'll get us anywhere from 25 minutes to 45 minutes of content.
That's mind blowing to somebody who's
crazy.
never done it. Yeah, to somebody who's never done it, they have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like I said before, that's making it good. That's not going out and putting out, you know, a 45 minutes of B-roll. That's doing it right and making it good, where people actually want to watch it. Megan also has a social media at slowroamer.meg. You show a lot of what you do, a lot of cooking shots, videos. We mentioned behind the scenes a while ago about your non-bread video and your salads. You enjoy the cooking of it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the main part of my job on this journey.
I thought it was mechanic. I thought it was.
Yeah. No, I've loved cooking for many years, and it's no different when we transitioned into the van. I like to get just as creative and ridiculous with our meals in the van as I would in a regular kitchen. And so yeah, I really love it.
Is it a challenge in the van, or is it something that you've gotten used to?
I'm very used to it now. It's definitely different. You have to be super mindful of dishes, because I'm not gonna just make the mess that you would in a kitchen, because you've got a sink with unlimited running water in your regular kitchen. Here we wash dishes with like under a liter of water. So yeah, and then obviously the space, and just having 2 burners, not having an oven, all that kind of stuff factors in. But I see it as a challenge, a fun challenge.
What's your favorite thing to cook? What's your go-to?
What's your favorite camp meal?
Yeah, here we go. Let's just get it over with.
Favorite camp meal. I can't really narrow it down to any one meal. Like, I love make the variety of it. I love thinking of new meals to make all of the time. But I mean, Mexicans, definitely a favorite camp meal, like burrito bowls or tacos or whatever. Alex loves a dish that I make with Italian sausage and gnocchi.
Oh, I love gnocchi.
Oh, gnocchi.
It's good.
Use what do you make your gnocchi out of? Is it sweet potatoes?
I haven't made my own gnocchi yet, but that might be something that happens on the Pan Am because
can't
it's
get
hard
it
to come
anywhere.
by. Yeah, it's hard to come by down here. So we'll see. But right now, just the store-bought gnocchi that I fry up.
That would be a challenge because I've made it before with sweet potatoes, and you actually have to bake the sweet potatoes to get them soft to make the gnocchi. So
you can boil them or steam them.
I'd be interested to see how you do that. I'd be looking for that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but I think my favorite thing is like I love baking. I travel with my sourdough starter, so I'm always making sourdough cakes and breads and stuff. That's what I really
do you have an alternative to an oven? Do you use a Dutch oven or anything like that?
I use an Omnia.
That's right. I saw that. I saw that on your pictures. For sure. That's cool. How did you develop your love for cooking? Was it did you do it as a young girl or later in life?
I come from a household that where my both parents did not know how to cook at all. So I ate a lot of crappy food growing up. And so as soon as I was old enough, I was kind of chomping at the bit to start making my own food because I hated what my parents cooked so much.
That's awesome.
And I binge watched Food Network all the time. And so I think that's probably what's informed how I cook and the skills that I have. But it I think it's a passion that came from necessity at the beginning and then evolved into something that I really started to love.
That's great. Well, other than that, what are some of the other extracurricular activities that y'all like to do when you're traveling? What do you enjoy doing outside?
Definitely hiking. That's really our main go-to. We don't carry any kind of like bikes or things like that with us just because they're theft hazards and get covered in dirt and stuff like that. So if we want to be active, we usually get out on hikes and we will go to an area based on the kind of hiking that is available there. Like when we were in Baja, we tried water sports, but turns out we're not super good at doing water sports. Just
we kind of
or what?
Yeah, we had a surfboard and a paddleboard, and some like scuba gear, like flippers and masks. We find ourselves moving a little. I know we're the slow roamers, but we do find ourselves moving a little quicker than your average person that would just post up in a spot and get out all their sporting equipment.
Yeah.
To really get amongst it. So we ended up not really using our water sport gear to warrant carrying it around all the way through South America. So we really love hiking because all you need is hiking boots.
A backpack.
It is one of the best because with limited space, you don't have a lot of room to carry a lot of stuff. And so it is one of the best things you can do. I mean, you fit everything you need in a little backpack and you're good and you go. So
we've got all our multi-day backpacking equipment with us. We have yet to go on a multi-day backcountry journey, but Alex has a bit of a affliction with leaving the van.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
We'll
see. I can see that for sure.
Let's admit it. Like I'm a homebody, but I want to travel. So why not live out of a van? Bring my home everywhere with me. But it's hard when like literally all of our life's possessions are in this van, and you can only lock up a vehicle so well. And if someone decides, oh my God, I want what's inside, then it's like, okay, goodbye life. So it's hard for me to like think about, okay, we're gonna go and hike around for 4 days, and leave the van somewhere. But we're gonna try when we're down in South America. We'll probably just go park the van in a compound or something like that and pay someone to watch it, and then do those hikes.
Yeah.
That's something that we've talked to several couples that do this full time, and that's something that I've not really considered. Your whole life is in your vehicle, and how would you leave it sitting?
Yeah, how you feel about leaving that with somebody you don't know?
Yeah,
not great.
Yeah,
not great. No.
Not great.
Well, in another country too.
Exactly.
I mean.
Well, and I just got back from backpacking 3 days, 2 nights in Arkansas, and I didn't like leaving my car where I did.
Yeah.
There's just something about it, and something in the back of your mind. What's it going to be like when I get there? You can't trust anybody these days, and I can see, and that's just my car. And everything I own is not in that car, so I can't imagine how much more it would be for you. Thinking about things like that. So
I think that, like, for me at least, people can take all the stuff in this van. I don't really care about that so much. It's my hard drives with all my photos and video on it. Don't take that, because I can't replace that. I can't replace those memories that are, digitally backed up. Everything else is replaceable. It's just money. It's just stuff. But don't take my memories.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, we are about to enter into a holiday season, and it's very non-traditional for you to travel to a different country, live out of a home in a place that you don't know. You mentioned earlier there, the decorations about where you are and how different they are in this holiday season. How have you had to change anything or give up anything to celebrate the holidays in a different way? And I ask that because people who may want to do that, do this full time like you are one of these days, that's something to think about, that a lot of people don't consider, being away from a traditional having family together, gathering around the fire, around the Christmas tree, opening up presents type of thing. So what traditions have you started, and have you had to give up anything doing this?
It's interesting. Neither Meg or I, well, together we haven't celebrated a Christmas back at home since we met.
This is our third Christmas.
Yeah,
in Mexico.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In the desert.
In the desert, yeah.
And I don't know, like my family, long ago we kind of took the emphasis off of like traditional Christmas celebrations. There's not a whole lot of pressure to be in a certain place or to be with certain people. It's like, when I was back home, we would, just spend the evening together. We'd eat some food. It wouldn't be like the whole get up of presents and stuff. So we never, like, I personally never had to give that up. But I think it's maybe a little bit different on your side, eh?
Yeah, we were just talking about this the other day. Holidays make us definitely think about it a little bit more, but there's a large element to what we're doing that is sacrificing our relationships, whether it's family, friends. Yeah. We don't get FaceTime with the people that we love anymore. And although we're making friends on the road, it's like ships passing in the night. Everybody has their own travel plan. So in terms of friendship, it's like, yeah, maybe we'll see you down the road after 2 days together or something like that. So yeah, it's definitely a sacrifice in my mind that we're consciously making to live this dream of ours. Our relationships suffer. And it's especially noticeable at Christmas time when all of our family and friends are together at home celebrating in the snow. And we definitely miss that. So we try and carve out like little fun things to do together. The last 2 years that we've spent in the desert at Christmas time, we've had friends around, but this year we're in the northern part of Mexico and we haven't seen another overlander. So I think this Christmas will be just us two. I'll make something really special for us to eat, and we have little fairy lights or little Christmas lights strung up. But yeah, Maybe we'll go forage for a pine tree that we will make a Christmas tree.
Do you enjoy the local traditions wherever you are? Do you kind of take those in, and do you participate in any of the local stuff when you have holidays around?
Honestly, I think that's TBD. We have spent collectively 5 months in Baja, Mexico. Otherwise, we've been in North America for most of our travels together. And yeah, I think
so far we haven't really run into like any huge like Mexican tradition that we could
Semana Santa, which is Easter, we saw last year, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
The Mexicans really get out and celebrate, which is awesome. We're kind of borderline antisocial in that respect. So it was like those kind of celebrations were like
stand on the outside and watch from a distance.
Big crowds of people. Yeah, we usually try to stay away from that. It would have been really cool to celebrate Dia de los Muertos in Mexico City or something, but we're too late, obviously, for that. So we'll see what kind of Christmas shenanigans we get up to. But again, we're kind of like, ooh, I don't know about going into a town at Christmas. Like, I don't know what that's going to look like. If there's going to be like parades on the streets that we want to avoid in the van or something like that.
You just never know. You just never know what you're going to run into. And that kind of leads me to my next question was, do you on this route, on this journey that you have, do you have a plan, or you just kind of take it day by day about where you're going to end up, where you're going to go? Do you have a long-term plan or a day-to-day plan, or just go with it?
Obviously, we have Argentina, southern Argentina, as our final stop on this trip. So that's kind of guiding us. But in terms of specific plans, we go week to week.
Yeah.
What about a timeline on that? Do you have a timeline on when you would want to get there?
It's really based on seasons, honestly. We want to be in Argentina for
not the winter, just not the winter.
Not the winter. So like late or like early spring to late fall or something, roughly like that. So, and also we would like to get through Central America before rainy season really hits. But that's really basically it. We plan a week out and move as we need to or want to. And if an area is not suiting us, then we'll move to the next. Like right now, we were telling you earlier, we're doing the Copper Canyon Overland route next week, which we're going to try and stretch out over a week. And then after that, we're like, where do we go?
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
We're kind of just like trying to gather intel on the area that we're in, and see what's out there, and if there's any cool stuff to go see or experience, and just go there.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Do you have any plans after you finish this route? Any plans at all?
Like the Pan Am?
Yeah.
After you finish the Pan Am, anything into the way future?
Yep. We're planning way ahead. We are not, it's not public knowledge as to what we are doing. We're kind of saving that. Our patrons know. But yeah, we'll
get into that here in a minute.
Definitely going to be traveling for a long period of time.
Awesome. That's great. Well, go ahead, Tony.
Well, I was just going to say, so once you get down to the end of this trip, are you going right on to the next trip? Are you going to backtrack and go back home for a minute and then start the next one?
Yeah.
So will you literally drive it in reverse? No,
we're probably going to sell a van in South America.
Okay.
Just because, so
if any listeners want to buy Betty the van in 2026
it's real. People
pre-sale.
Yeah, people do drive it. Drive the Pan Am from south to north.
Okay,
common, but it's definitely done. And the upside of someone buying a vehicle like Betty, going north, is that once they get to North America, they can insure the vehicle in North America. I believe. Anyway.
Yeah.
That is cool. That's so cool. Well, that's exciting. It's so exciting to get to see you, meet you, follow you, and I want to encourage everybody on Instagram. They are at Slow Roamers. On Facebook, it's The Slow Roamers. Website is slowroamers.com. YouTube is at Slow Roamers, and then you do have a Patreon. Do you want to talk about your Patreon a little bit, about what people do and what they can get from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're pretty novice at Patreon. We are introducing more and more as we go along. As of right now, we are sharing our Gaia maps, our camp spots, sneak peeks, behind the scenes stuff. Like future plans, basically. Like I said, people know kind of what we're doing after the Pan Am already. And yeah, when we can, we'll be doing early releases of our videos for those who want to watch it before the weekend. That kind of stuff. And it's just like we haven't tiered it in such a way that like if you pay more you get more. It's just like if you want to support us in one of these 3 tiers, you can do that, and you'll get whatever the lower tier gets. It's just a way for people to like help put gas in their tank, keep us going. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we've reached kind of the end of where we like to be, and I think we've covered a lot of ground. And we didn't do it very slowly; we did it very quickly. And so that was really nice. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast and visiting with us and just letting us get to know you a little better, and letting us see a little bit inside the walls of Betty 3.0. It's been pretty amazing. So for everybody listening, I hope you have completely enjoyed learning more about this amazing couple as much as we have. Thank you again for coming on with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, guys. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you've gotten out of as much of this out of this as I have on behalf of Tony. Tony, have a wonderful week. It's good to see you, buddy.
Too.
Hope everybody has a great week. On behalf of the Overland Podcast, we hope you have a wonderful week. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And
see you next year.
See you next year, I guess. Unless we do something crazy next week from South Texas. I don't know. But until then, look out for number 1. Don't step in number 2.